Hello everyone, welcome to TEDxBranksomeHallAsia. We are today's MCs, Hiju and Chongwon. We feel so honored and pleased to lead this conference. We would like to welcome you all for coming to our first historical TEDx event led by students. TEDxBranksomeHallAsia is a student-led conference where TED-like talks are shared by our wonderful BranksomeHallAsia students.
The theme for our first TEDx conference is Learn Like a Novice, Dream Like a Genius. The speakers have been preparing for about 4 months, and today finally they will be sharing their ideas about various topics such as games, expectations of college, life experiences, leadership, and so on. We have 11 speakers in total waiting to share their stories, and each speaker will be presenting for about 8 to 10 minutes.
Staff and speakers of TEDxBHA have spent so much time making this conference successful, so please enjoy. Before we start, we have 2 rules to announce. 1, please turn off your phones. 2, never fall asleep.
Now, we will be introducing the speakers who will be sharing their ideas with you. Our first speaker will be Ji-Yeon Park, followed by Ji-Won Jung, Lee-Kyung Kim, Han-Soo Lee, and Na-Yeon Choi. Then, we will have a short intermission for 10 minutes. After the intermission, our speakers will be Seon Cho, Daeyeon Kim, Hae-Jung Shin, Han-Oh Yoo, So-Han Choi, and last but not least, Yeoju Kim. Before the speech, each speaker has prepared a short and a funny video of themselves, so please enjoy. Now, please welcome our first speaker, Ji-Yeon Park, with a round of applause.
Hey guys, I'm Ji-Yeon Park. I got something to tell you. I've been playing music on this floor for 10 years, and yesterday I felt so bad. I mean, why are you guys judging me? I mean, we're not a team. This ain't a competition. Anyways, listen.
Before I start, let me ask you a question. Do you have a dream college that you want to go to after graduating from high school? What college comes to your mind right now? But why do you want to go there? Is it simply because it's ranked highly? Is it the best in the field where you want to major? There might be countless reasons why you want to go there. But is it true that going to a good college will guarantee you a happy life? We might be preparing for college just by attending school. However, a school does much more than simply prepare us for college. Indeed, schools help us find our deep inner talents that are crucial for happiness. Even though we get accepted to Harvard Medical School, we will not be able to be happy if we really, really hate organic chemistry or biochemistry. The value of an Ivy League college is worthless if we can't truly find what we want to do at that college. So, forget Harvard or Yale. Even though you attend a community college for 2 years, you are better off than those Harvard grads who went there for merely sheer greed, namely economic, social, and political power. What is happiness? Many people think that having more money can make us happy. However, one survey of 1,000 Americans conducted in 2010 concluded that money does make us happier, but only up to a certain point. The findings by psychologists Daniel Kahneman and economist Angus Deaton, both from Princeton University, show that self-reported levels of well-being decrease the salary of $75,000 a year. But after that, increasing amounts of money had no further effect on happiness. my opinion, I don't think money equals happiness. Well, if there's a lot of money, we could buy anything we want and live a luxurious life. It's necessary for our lives, and it's true that life will be miserable if we have a lack of money. However, as are all things in life, the rich also do get sick of their too plentiful life. I think happiness is doing what I adore. The thing I value the most is not merely earning a lot of money. In short, I think I'll pretty much be on cloud nine when I do something I truly love. Besides, if I pursue something I truly love, basically, money will follow as well. Moreover, another thing I cherish in life is embracing those who support and care about me. They include my family, friends, and the teachers in TEDxBranksomeHallAsia. My slogan in life is overcoming sheer fear and putting in effort to try things, whether or not they succeed. This is much better than just sitting there and worrying about its consequences. Ultimately, regardless, it will be something invaluable and essential. I strongly consider it to be something that will assign my overall development, mentally and physically. Do you know your own definition of happiness? I decided to ask 5 different people how they would define happiness. They replied that happiness is being in the present moment, learning something new every day, experiencing unconditional love, having a place to call home, and making someone happy. As you may already know, the meaning of happiness is different to all of us. The reason is that everybody has different values. In June 2005, Steve Jobs took the podium at the Stanford Stadium to give the commencement speech to Stanford's graduating class. Wearing jeans and sandals under his formal robe, Jobs addressed a crowd of 23,000 with a short speech that drew lessons from his own life. About a third of the way to the address, Jobs offered the following advice. The only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found one yet, keep looking. Don't settle. Ask yourself, what do you love to do? What makes you happy? What are you passionate about? For me, I feel happy when I achieve something which everyone thought that I wouldn't be able to. It's that moment where the impossible becomes possible. At the end of the day, if we truly want to be happy, we must love ourselves. That leads to asking ourselves what we gotta do to become happy. One of the questions we could ask ourselves is this: where will this choice take me? For students like me, the choice is closely related to the colleges we'll be applying to in the future. Don't choose Ivy League colleges just because they're Ivy League. Don't go to Stanford for the sake of just wanting to be a Stanford undergrad. Attending college shouldn't be the ultimate goal in our lives. We have to think of going to college as one of the means to fulfill our dreams. What your parents and cool friends have to say, yes, I know, they have opinions, but they can never possibly know what you want deep inside the bottom of your heart. Have you ever asked yourself when you were happy? Even trivial matters can make you happy. We feel happy just by the thought of having those around us who give us the warm hand in times of trouble and destitution, let alone our beloved parents. If we just take the time to reframe our definition of happiness, we can be happy every second of the day. In fact, we are all unique in that there is no one like us but ourselves alone. Don't waste your valuable time trying in vain to compare yourself with others. We all are very precious indeed. Look around you. We could even be happy by merely getting into our uniforms and going to school to acquire something novel. Happiness depends on how you make of yourself in the world. At this very moment, I myself am extremely flattered to be standing on this stage to convey my sincere thoughts to all of you. We only have one opportunity to live our lives. One could lead a pathetic life. On the other hand, others may lead a happy life. I truly wish that we all live a happy life. Besides, somehow we may already have happiness inside of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Jiyoung. Our next speaker will be Jiwon Chong from grade 9.
Check! Hello, Branksome! This is Jiwon Chong from grade 9. So, let's do my squid dance. Check! Thank you. Hello, this is Hyun-Dong from grade 9. Today, I'm incredibly eager to share my story with you. I was an elderly Korean middle school student who tried my best to survive the Korean education system. Not knowing what I really want to do or what I'm really interested in. I just lived day by day, burned out as most Korean students tend to be. But it all changed one night when I was with my friends. I don't remember the exact day, or place, or any of the details, but I clearly remember the moment that I looked up and the soul started staring down at me. I just stood there for a long time and started wondering about those stars. Where did they come from? What might be inside the core of those stars? And what they are made of? After that, my curiosity grew, and many more questions arose from the simple thought, why do stars shine? And then I researched about astronomical knowledge, and because of that process, I could discover the multiverse theory, which argues that the hypothetical set of possible universes, including the universe in which we live, exist together. From that simple knowledge, I got even more curious. If the multiverse theory is true, can you make a contact with other multiverses? From a simple word such as staring down the night, I now have an inspiration to devote my whole life to solve this curiosity. Yes, for the first time in my life, I started to be curious about something that inspired my dream, being an astronomer. I researched what I need to do in order to become an astronomer, and I found an organization called NASA. As you well know, NASA is an American government organization, and I realized that going to an English-speaking school would help me. So here I am, trying my best to achieve my dream, all by myself, and heading step by step toward my dream. That simple question, like why does stars shine, changed my future and my history of life. Have you ever had a curiosity that changed your entire life like me? Well, I certainly believe some of you have had those experiences. Now, let me rephrase the question. perhaps make you think a little deeper. Have you ever had a curiosity or passion but ignored it? Unfortunately, so many of us will be answering yes to this question. We are inspired every day. There are many little things that cause questions. Yet, how many of us actually follow through? How many of these curiosities are fundamentally folded with all the other requirements of day-to-day living? In rare cases, some curiosities are fundamental in our mind and have a power to change our lives. I'm going to talk to you about, and that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. I have an interesting story. However, if you do not like physics, it might be really boring. At the end of the 19th century, physicists thought that they uncovered all the knowledge of physics. But it soon turned out that their assumptions were only empty errors. Their thinking was changed by something called double-slit experiments. Now, let me try to describe what a double-slit experiment is. First, you prepare a plate with two holes, and behind it is a wall. If you shoot a ball which is represented by a particle in this hole, the ball will pass through the hole and embed it in the wall through a clear two lines in the wall. However, if you splash the water, which is represented by a wave, the projection might be changed. The wave will pass through the double-slit plate and separate it into two. And the two waves will make a connection, and the connection will draw several lines on the wall. But the story will change when modern scientists shoot electrons in this hole. The electrons will pass through the double-slit plate and appear as a waveform of the wall. This miraculous experiment encouraged many scientists' curiosity, and to solve this curiosity, many prominent scientists were stepped in. And eventually, the principles of indeterminacy, which is one of the central theory of quantum mechanics, was born. This natural curiosity, possibly have been replaced by acceptance, is a prime example of the human spirit to always think and inquire about the world. This kind of curiosity has not only in science, but also in other fields. So, we all know the importance of curiosity. Then, what is the difference between just passing curiosity and the curiosity that have a power to change the world? Firstly, the definition of curiosity is the capacity of animals and humans to question and discover the unknown. According to Existence and Time by Martin Heidegger, curiosity comes when a living thing gets rest and looks for the unknown world, escaping from daily life. There are many different opinions and definitions about curiosity. But I think there are two kinds of curiosity: big curiosity and small curiosity. Big curiosity changes the people, the world, and the history. For example, simple questions like why does stars shine changed my pathway of light. Just like a similar question about the speed of light that helped Einstein's theory of relativity. On the other hand, small curiosities are something like a visitor who doesn't stay long in our minds. It's like my friend being curious about how great a cupcake across the street might taste. She was so curious about it that it didn't take more than an hour for her to forget. Getting back to the main point, there can be a lot of difference between these two curiosities. However, I think there is one critical reason that makes difference. That is a passion. Here's a kid. He's amazed about a bird that he saw for the first time in his life. With curiosity, he looks here and there. But the curiosity disappears when someone tells him that it's called a bird. At that moment, he has no more interest in that object. people are like that kids, lose interest or stop being curious about something. When they know the answer or when they feel like they can't figure out the end solution. They stop thinking about it or forget about it. But people who are really interested in or have passion about that curiosity don't forget about their minds. Even though they might know the answer, they try to figure out more and more about it. Einstein was a searcher person. His questioning led to enormous developments in science. There were already some questions answered about the speed of light, but he developed his curiosity and asked new questions, like, what if light could move faster than light? It was this question that emerged into the theory of relativity. However, most of us lose curiosity when we become adults. As we grow up, we become more and more knowing than unknown world, through books or learning. And there seems to be nothing we can curiosity for, because we usually think we know everything as we grow up. But when we are interested in something, the more we dig deeply into it, we might first know the concept of shallowly, and then we can expand it without losing curiosity. Take the example of Greek scientist Copernicus, who even through geocentric theory was commonly accepted as being correct in his era. Endlessly researched about structure of the universe and figured out the heliocentric theory. This consistent of effort in solving curiosity also can be found in Picasso, who broke the general concept of art, or in Beethoven, who never came to explore music despite his hearing trouble. It might appear that curiosity is a gift that only genius and heroes have. But we all have our own gifts and passions. I'm passionate in science, and you might be saying in art, music, or math. And if this passion inspires a little curiosity, you will definitely make a turning point in your life. Moreover, you can be a legend who changed the world in your chosen field. I'll end up by quoting Einstein's idea. Never lose a holy curiosity. Have a curiosity. Have a passion. Thanks.
That was Jiwon. Now, Yugyun Kim from grade 9 will be presenting about concealing the real beauty.
Hi guys, my name is Yugyun Kim, and recently I got a boyfriend, and his name is Daniel Henny. He's so cute, so I prepared a song for him. Some people want it all, but I don't want nothing at all. If it ain't you, baby, if I ain't got you, baby. Some people want diamond rings, some just want everything, but everything means nothing if I ain't got you. Yeah, I love you, babe.
She's really gorgeous, isn't she? She's got flawless skin, a perfectly shaped body, long legs, and everything looks perfect. You're probably now thinking, why can't I have those legs? Don't worry guys, I'm pretty jealous too. My name is Yugyun Kim, and I'm 15 years old. I go to TEDxBranksomeHallAsia, I enjoy playing tennis, and I have a great group of friends. And I'm smart and a positive young girl. But I don't think I'm beautiful. Do you think you're beautiful? Are you satisfied with your hair, your skin, your stomach, your butt, and your legs? About 80% of you guys in this auditorium just said no. Maybe you want your hair to be longer and softer. Maybe my dad wants his high school body back. According to CNN, 1 in 3 women will sacrifice a full year of their life for their ideal body type. Not you, but you will give up a full year for a set of neurodenverse legs. To be honest, I would probably sacrifice a year or 2 for the perfect butt. That seems like a pretty good deal, right? But why? Why do you have this ideal body type that we all want to get? 2 words, mass media. We live in a world that senses all the messages from the media, whether it is the bikini ads or the ads for Chanel perfume. We're constantly dealing with messages from the media considering what society views as beautiful. And what do we see? Unattainable fantasy. Advertising provides a realistic and harmful epitome of woman figures nowadays. A clear image has been drawn on the canvas. Stick thin is beautiful. The sad part is we believe it. We see these false mirages and we compare them to ourselves. We think, why can I have those thin arms? We see the delusion and yet we don't see the truth behind them. The trick is really simple. Photoshop. Now, I know, probably you're thinking, well duh, of course mass media uses Photoshop. But do you really know to what extent? I used to think that they might just airbrush some occasional pimples or dark circles from a model's rough entire day. However, in real life, it's a little bit more extreme. There's a video called Dove Evolution, and we can see the drastic changes that a regular face to create the illusion that we see every day. The woman before the shoot, we see her everywhere. This is that girl. We see her at the supermarket, we see her at the school. She's like our everyday Laura. No more different than you and me. However, the Photoshop masks her. This is that girl after the shoot. We see the delusion, and yet we don't see the truth behind them. We see this, and we think, I'm not skinny enough, I'm not good enough, and I'm not pretty enough. Because the media lies. We are impacted by these influences from such a young age. And we aren't even aware of what's happening to our viewpoint. Before we move on, I'd like to introduce my friend. I think we've all met her before, but if you haven't, don't worry, she's really nice. Her name's Barbie. Actually, I had a wide range of Barbies when I was maybe 6 or 7 years old. With my best friend, we would go over and play with them all day, changing their shoes and clothes. And I'm pretty sure most of the girls in here have Barbies, or other sort of dolls. Maybe boys had Ken or Power Rangers, all of whom were tall and had a set of rock-hard abs. So, from such a young age, we get these influences. The perfect lives that they live. They can get everything and anything that they want. And as children, our thoughts were so fragile that we think that's because of their appearance. And why wouldn't we? Because all the dolls are purposely created to be beautiful. Because who would buy an ugly doll? Nevertheless, the truth is, even Barbie lies. Her body proportions are actually impossible in nature. These are her proportions. Look at her waist, it's tiny. Her neck is a toothpick. Her chin is basically non-existent. Her eyes are massive. Barbie's real life size? She would be maybe 7 feet tall. How is that beautiful? We have desires to reach this crazy impossible body image that we think most of the world requires. The ugly truth is, only less than 5% in the world has the perfect body. It's just we see that 5% all over the billboards and certainly movies every day. So we desperately need to try to ignore the tricks towards us and just see it as it is. But I'm not saying that let's completely ignore all the pressures that the society pushes on us or the one we push on ourselves. All I want to say is that we need to try and reject impossible expectations and just accept ourselves. Sometimes, even I keep telling myself that I'm ugly. And I can't possibly ever love myself because when I look in the mirror, I don't like what I see. Stretch marks, not perfect skin, a gap between my front teeth. Overanalyzing every single part destroys my self-esteem. But for myself, I keep thinking of the people who adore me a lot. The people who keep telling me that I'm perfect just by being me. So, I hope one day you can look at yourself in the mirror and just live with what you see. Because, ladies and gentlemen, life in plastic is really fantastic. And the beauty begins the moment you decide to be yourself. Thank you.
Wow, Yugam, that was amazing. Now we have Hansel Lee from grade 8 presenting about evaluation of Korean history education.
And Nayam Choi presenting about scientific paradigm shift. Please welcome them with a round of applause.
This is part of Defying Gravity. I sooner by defying gravity. Kiss me goodbye, I'm defying gravity. I think I'll try defying gravity. You won't bring me down. As you can see, I'm a student who should ride a wheelchair at school. Nevertheless, I have a confident dream of majoring in international relations and working at UN Women. Thank you. Many people agree with the argument that students should learn from their nation's history, and none more so than George Santayana, who famously said, "Those who do not remember the past are condemned to repeat it." What they argue is that an event that happened in history might repeat itself in the present, and that learning history in a long-lasting, effective way to prevent the same things from happening again in the future. I half agree with this argument. I fully agree with the sentiment that the mistakes of the past can be repeated in modern days if we do not learn from our history. For example, in 1965, the Treaty on Basic Relations between the Republic of Korea and Japan was signed. In very similar circumstances, the General Security of Military Information Agreement between the Republic of Korea and Japan was approved last year. Both cases were controversial social issues, as representatives from Korea, rather than the President, peremptorily signed the treaty, ignoring the past conflicts that had developed between Korea and Japan. This frustrated many Koreans because most of the past conflicts are still relevant in modern society because Japan didn't apologize for what they did in the past. Since Korea was one of the victims in Japanese imperialism, signing the treaty or an agreement only achieved Japan's goal of hiding and changing history. This is an example of harmful consequences of not learning from our nation's history. I, however, have some doubts that Korean students in Korean public schools are not learning Korean history well. I dare to venture that Korean students are not learning Korean history effectively, as they are simply memorizing everything in their history textbook. What matters to them is getting a high score on the history exam by memorizing everything in their history textbook. Nothing else. They do not care whether there are international issues regarding their history rising to the surface, specifically in Asia. They will even forget the content memorized easily in a matter of a few months, even days, which is a harmful effect of an exam-based education. Thus, Korean history courses should assess students' learning by their essays and performances during debates and discussions in classes, not by taking exams that have tons of multiple choice questions and short answer responses. There are three main effects that can occur through changing the way of assessing students. Firstly, writing essays and debating can lead the students to think about one event through different perspectives. In order to write essays and conduct debates, students should do prior research on the issue. The research lets students acquire facts from many different perspectives. Various textbooks use different vocabulary and tones to describe the same issue. Take, for example, the evaluation on Prince Pame's achievements, which differ markedly depending on which region wrote the text. The Western perspectives are incredibly biased as they openly dislike the prince's work. However, in the South, the information is much more favorable because they are the side that supported the prince. Even though Prince Pame had both good and bad things done in his period, the Western regions exaggerated the bad, advocating that Prince Pame was the worst king in the Joseon dynasty because he killed his father and got rid of the queen. In addition, they claimed that the Prince Pame tried to rebuild the palace they were destroying during the war. The rendition from the South, however, argues that King Gwanghae was good at diplomacy and he eventually saved the Joseon dynasty from being involved in another war with the Qing dynasty. As you can see, one person's work can be evaluated from different perspectives. If the students learn about Prince Pame based on only one of the perspectives, they will only be half informed and unable to make an informed decision based on an understanding of all the facts. Secondly, students can link these historical events to recent issues and apply what they have learned in real-life situations. For example, Let's say that South Korea is about to sign a new treaty with Japan, which does not give any benefits to Korea at all. If you just memorize the event, which is the Treaty on Basic Relations, 1965, you will never be able to apply any real knowledge to the new situation, as it is memorized, not learned. If you, however, learn about the context behind the Treaty on Basic Relations between Korea and Japan, and the fallout that occurred as a result, you might wrongly oppose the new treaty being signed. You would instead address the issues that the South Korean representatives have ignored in the past when they signed the original treaty with Japan, such as the ownership to Dokdo Islands, comfort human issues, and etc. And make sure that similar incidents do not occur again. Also, according to the research from the National Academic Press, by learning with understanding, a student is more likely to apply their knowledge in real-life situations compared to memorizing information from a text or a lecture from their teachers. It makes sense that learning with understanding can make students focus more on the larger theme of cause and consequence surrounding an event. The one-shot test shouldn't be the way of evaluating learning, as the test is not an active process of applying one's knowledge. Lastly, through actively participating in learning, students are able to remember history for a longer period of time as they become invested in the subject. This is very important because the students are the future generations of Korea who have to play the main role in Korea's future. As citizens of South Korea, students who know their history will be those who fight on behalf of our nation when other nations try to distort Korean history. For example, Korean citizens can fight back against Japan about their ignorance on comfort human issues. Since the original comfort women are now very old, there will soon be no live evidence of their experiences, and learned by students in order to retain an important part of Korean history. In conclusion, Korean history courses should check the students' learning by writing essays and debating, not by taking exams. This idea will enable the students to link the historical events that happened in the past to the hot issues that are recently occurring, allowing them to learn the lessons from the past and apply them to current situations. My last phrase for today: there is no future to the nation that do not remember its past. Thank you.
Thank you, Hansel. For the next speaker, please welcome Nayan Choi with a round of applause.
Hi, this is Nayan Choi from TEDxBranksomeHallAsia. Welcome to Branksome's first TEDxBranksome. Enjoy all the speeches that our speakers and staff members have prepared.
Surprisingly, apples, yes I know this is an apple, has taken a significant role in modern physics. Believe it or not, its attribution to Sir Isaac Newton and his concept of gravity has been fascinating enough to astonish the physicists in that age, and this anecdote remains legendary until nowadays. Before I move on to my topic, I would like to demonstrate the inspirational power of a single apple. So imagine myself standing in the middle of a prominent scientist asking, in a short instance of me dropping this apple, what physics concept has crossed your mind? Not to be so stereotypical, but because they are the scientist, I know I will receive a countless number of answers with a whole variety. It may be the Newton's first and second law of motion, it may be the converted potential energy, or it may be the gravitational field surrounding the apple, or even the theory of relativity. Recording every single answer, I'll be even able to write a physics textbook. Anyways, do you now see the power that the single apple can persist? Now that we know, after 100 years Sir Isaac Newton passed away, the single apple still persists certain power to lead us to the concept of physics. How about far before him getting hit by this fortunate apple? Back in the days of old Greece, if I were to throw this apple in front of Greek philosophers and ask exactly the same question, obviously the answers I received would be a whole lot different from what the current era scientists would mention. For instance, instead of particles constructing an apple, they would view the apple itself as a matter that cannot be splintered into smaller particles. Now you may be pondering, then whose idea would we say is more accurate? Or even extend so far as to, then what determines whether a scientific theory or concept is accurate? Thank you so much for being such an awesome audience if you did think so, because that's the exact same question that I would like to throw upon you today during this TED Talk. Sorry for those who just can't wait to find out the correct answer. To first state the unfortunate reality, there is no such right or wrong answer for this question. This remains as a controversy even for professional scientists and philosophers nowadays. Starting from the Greek mental experiments, to the Age of Enlightenment, then to the quantum mechanics and so much more, physics has been best described as being capricious, and this question, unfortunately, did not have the moment to be answered. With all of you today, I would like to tackle this theoretical question, asking, paradigm shift, is it a process of revolution, or is it a process of reconstruction? Beware of thinking nothing's there. Remove all you can, despite you care. Behind remains a restless seething of mindless clones beyond conceiving. This line, derived by the poem Virtual Particles, written by Frank Wilczek, I believe is the best representation of modern science. Though there seems to be a crucial deviation in between, science is an area that commonly imbricates with correlative ideas such as math, social studies, philosophy, or even arts. Hence, for the sake of keeping ideas coherent to each other, there must be tacitly set restrictions, and we call those restrictions scientific paradigms. According to Oxford Dictionary, a paradigm refers to a worldview underlying the theories and methodology of specific science subjects. That worldview refers to a restricted model which cannot be altered or recreated without legitimate justifications. Indeed, those legitimate justifications do somehow exist, because for the first hand, if not, I would not be standing here. Anyways, then do those justifications hold a certain name? Yes, they do. They are known as the scientific paradigm shift. And prior to moving on, I would like to introduce you to the concept of scientific realism, which is the generic concept that includes the idea of scientific paradigm shift. According to Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, scientific realism is the positive epistemic attitude towards the content of best theories and models of science, recommending beliefs in both observable and unobservable aspects of the world described by science. Just to help your understanding, the word epistemic means relating to knowledge or to the degree of its validation. Validation. The word validation indeed possesses a great part in scientific realism and accordingly paradigm shift, because ultimately scientific paradigms consider the validity of the most common arguments made towards the field of science. It is a key concept that you must note in order to understand the scientific paradigm shift properly. Moving on. We cannot discuss the paradigm shift enough without mentioning this person, Thomas Kuhn. Thomas Kuhn, as a philosopher, scientist, historian, his attributions towards this area of scientific realism has justified the paradigm shift of what we know today. Though he was not the one to invent the phrase paradigm shift, he was the one to popularize the word scientific revolutions, which is basically the same thing. According to his book, The Structure of Scientific Revolutions, first published in 1962, the paradigm shift consists of 4 main phases, and what we know as the modern science is a repetitive process of these following phases. First phase, creation of normal science throughout history. Second phase, crisis and emergence of scientific theories. Third phase, response to crisis. And lastly, the fourth phase, resolution of scientific revolutions. In terms of organizing all the aforementioned ideas, scientific paradigm shift is simply one part of scientific realism, which represents the occurrence of a scientific theory or paradigm that was dominant for a scientific field being shifted to another for a reason. In most cases of discussing the paradigm shift, people argue, lest extraordinarily and well-founded, a simple change in perspective cannot be defined as paradigm shift. Hence, for such reasons, paradigm shift emerges to its own prominence only in subjects that tend to be stable and mature, which the physics in the 19th century stands as a great epitome. Indeed, during this era, there was this extraordinarily well-founded paradigm shift, which we commonly know as the Aristotelian to Newtonian shift. To understand this, as people say, the first and official paradigm shift, we must track back again to a birth of this ominous field of study. Maybe a small but powerful Greek mental experimenting seminar held by eminent Greek philosophers. Led by Aristotle, this group of people made a philosophical approach towards natural science for an establishment, to obtain a general principle that can explain all the fundamental natures of existences. It was a long process of historical reconstruction where all existing knowledges were synthesized as one powerful paradigm. Since then, for quite a long time period, physics was more likely to be mind philosophy or even biology in aspects of how it discussed the various states of natural matter. During this era, more than the quantitative precision of these matters, Aristotle highlighted the importance of qualitative states. Among those natural matters, Aristotelian physics made choices of 4 elementary substances to support its own paradigm that a body's composition determines its own natural place. One another Aristotelian view of nature was that the far distinction between violent motion and natural motion. Though this concept remained kind of dominant for quite a long time period, soon Aristotle was criticized by the contradiction of these 4 elementary substances to its own theory of motion. And unfortunately, by that time, this part of Aristotelian physics was already being accelerated through the second phase of paradigm shift, emergence and crisis of scientific theories. Finally, as the third phase, this part of Aristotelian physics was reproduced and deduced as the first and second law of Newton's motion. Just Just as an example, a lot of physics concepts were deduced, reproduced, or even reconstructed during this era, highlighting the occurrence of paradigm shifts, and particularly for this situation, the Aristotelian to Newtonian shift. I would just love to further discuss about every other historical examples consisting of paradigm shift, especially the ones with Einstein's theory of relativity. But since I'm only given 10 minutes, now I must move on to the theoretical question again, restating, does the scientific level reset at the appearance of a new paradigm? As aforementioned, there is no such appropriate answer for this question. It is up to you to create your own answer that can float your own boat. For me, I believe scientific level cannot be reset at the appearance of a new paradigm, but though the level itself becomes reconstructed throughout the paradigm shifts. This is parallel to the idea of Thomas Kuhn. Whether you define the scientific paradigm shifts as a process of full transition or just as a process of reconstruction, it brings us one clear definition about science. That science never ends, it will develop in its own infinite potential. Thank you so much. This was your speaker, Naum Choi.
Now we have an intermission. For 10 minutes, you can move freely, go to the restroom, or enjoy snacks and drinks provided outside the auditorium. Please follow our staff's instructions.
After the intermission, we have a fantastic dance performance. Please be seated on time after 10 minutes intermission. Thank you.
I have a brief announcement. The U.S. Embassy talk has been postponed to 4:30, so those of you who assigned to attend may stay till the end of this event. But please go over to the second of the school center right after the close of the TEDx. Before our next speaker starts, BHA students have prepared a short entertainment for you. Please welcome them with a round of applause.
girls, now we'll have our next speaker, Soyeon Cho from grade 7, come up to the stage. And do not fall asleep.
Hello, my name is Han Cho, and I am in grade 7. My favorite sport is basketball because I'm the tallest one in academy. Here's my friend, basketball. Also, my favorite animal is penguin. Quack, quack. Do you know Obama? I can do voice imitation of Obama. You all look great. Obama in White House. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. What is the first thing that popped into your head when I mentioned the word success? Maybe you suddenly recall the word famous entrepreneurs and Bill Gates or Steve Jobs. What do you think made them so successful? Well, they all say that it was their habits that contributed to their success. A habit is something that you do often, sometimes without even knowing that you are doing it. According to behavioral psychologist James Clear, a habit is formed by doing the same things for over 66 days. I have a few personal habits. Some might seem strange. For example, I always bite my lip when I'm concentrating, and I have some habits that are in fact helpful. For example, I always make an eye contact with the person I'm speaking to, and this helps me gain their trust. Another habit I have is that I never start using a new notebook unless I completely finish it the old one first, which reduces waste. I am sure every single one of you have your own habits. Would you believe me if I said your habits could secure you a spot amongst the world's 100 influential people? The one thing successful people emphasize about becoming successful is developing small but important habits. Today, I would like to introduce the 4 habits of successful individuals. The first habit is thinking. You may all know Warren Buffett, a world-famous investor. How would you say that he spends the majority of his time? Signing contracts, going on business trips, having meetings? Shockingly, he spends more than 80% of his time just thinking. He envisions his goals and his future and what he wants to achieve. So think, invest your time in thinking. Do not waste your time worrying about the bad things that might happen in the future. Instead, dream of your ambition. Think about yourself walking around your dream university campus or draw a picture of yourself working at your dream job in your head. Think about what you truly want to do in the future. By spending time on deeply thinking about your future, you can organize your thoughts and set priorities in your life. As soon as thinking becomes your habit, you will start making plans. These plans will motivate you to take action. At the end of this path, you will reach your dreams. So, develop a habit of thinking. Learn to invest a good chunk of your time into thinking about your future. The second habit is continuously communicating a sense of confidence through our voice of gesture. When we speak with confidence, we tend to make stronger first impressions on others. According to the internationally recognized consultant or nationalist, first impressions occur within 30 seconds. First impressions are determined based on our voice, pronunciation, or facial features. If your doctor is doctoring or has poor pronunciation, wouldn't you be a bit doubtful about his abilities? Since many famous CEOs all over the world value the importance of first impressions, they do vocal exercises. They practice their voice and examine how their voices sound and develop a voice that builds trust to whoever they talk to. Most male CEOs make their voice slow and effort durable to grab attention and make listeners concentrate more. Female CEOs also practice pronouncing words more clearly to make an impression that they can be trusted. We tend to spend too much time and effort on making documents, exam essays, and resumes look perfect. But as members of society, we should be able to appeal to others' emotions in a positive manner. So, cultivate good posture and speaking clearly and confidently. Your voice can help you to get the acceptance letter to your dream school or a $1 million contract. Now, the last 2 habits I'm about to introduce are super easy. Things that you can try out today. There are people who pay a lot of money for first class seats in airplanes. What do you think those people have in common? Well, yes, they probably are rich. But what else?
A Japanese flight attendant who served first-class passengers for more than a decade found one theme feature in most of her clients and even wrote a book about it. It was that they never borrowed pens. When she passed out customs forms, the majority of the passengers in economic classes borrowed pens from flight attendants, while the first-class passengers almost never did. What is the significance in this difference? With a pen, we can take notes whenever we want to, wherever we are. Also, when you have an explosive idea, you can capture them at the moment in time. Do you have a special pen that you treasure above all others? If you do, develop a habit of putting it in your pocket and carrying it wherever you go. Jot down your thoughts, plans, or anything else you think is important. Note-taking or writing should not be only limited in classes. If you don't have a special pen, then find one today. It is a small investment, but it will perhaps make a big difference. So put a pen in your pocket. It's a habit worth developing. Lastly, cultivated personal approach to stress relief. In modern life, people tend to work whilst neglecting leisure, which has the potential to negatively affect the quality of their work. Henry Ford told us that the person who doesn't know how to rest is like a car without a brake. Some people might think that relieving stress is insignificant, but since we work for it, we have to eat and rest. For example, enjoy your shower, enjoy your meal, and enjoy your coffee. Look at what's around you. The busy world we're living in makes it difficult for us to be grateful or enjoy the little things around us, but we have to make time for that. Why? Because YOLO, you only live once. Successful people who started from the bottom must have started with a single thought or idea. To bring their thoughts to fruition, they must have worked hard. Perhaps working hard includes practicing speaking in front of a big crowd or carrying a pen wherever you go. As a reader, you might secure a job with $1 million contract or an acceptance letter to your dream school by leaving them all important good first impressions. Most importantly, along the way, you have to remember to appreciate the small things and truly enjoy them. In the end, having fun is what really matters. For me, success is what I want and love. If these habits can bring me closer to the success I dream of, I'm going to practice them. How prepared are you to strive for your dreams? If you feel ill-equipped about this challenge, maybe you can join me in developing the 4 habits I spoke about earlier. I hope this habit leads to every success in the future. Thank you.
Invite Kim to come up the stage. Please give her a round of applause.
Hello, I'm Dahyun, a student in grade 7. To me, J-pop is the best music in the whole world. So today, I'm going to do a voice imitation of Aimer. 기억도 못 실어나이 내의 모임 데모가나이. Sorry, I forgot the lyrics, so I'm going to stop here and please enjoy my speech. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Dahyun. I'm a student in grade 7. Today, I'm going to talk about the educational use of video games and making of these games as the best way to learn. I think by learning and making educational video games in the classroom, it could help students' concentration and self-confidence. When I was in 3rd grade, I hated studying and my self-confidence was really low. During the time, I thought, why aren't there any educational video games that are fun to play? Thus, promoting my learning while having fun. Still today, many people strongly believe that video games only hinders our education. But I think it could be an effective idea. I think we need a new model for education. Video games could play an important role in this new model. Numerous people think video games could be merely entertaining for students, distracting from study, possibly even leading to addiction. However, video games could be custom-made for education. When entertainment meets education, the result is true learning. The student could enjoy as well as learning from video games. Many studies have been done about this concept. For example, Ulrich Welser, an e-learning researcher from the University of Paderborn, demonstrated that the educational use of serious games is possible
But it requires not only a good design, but also an appropriate social context, such as school, and includes personal variables among the users or students. Another study by Trudy Bears showed that students enjoy and learn more from group discussions than lectures, which tells that student-centered style is better than teacher-centered. And also, the learning improves with students' enjoyment. Learning through video games is unique in many ways. Video games will be more interesting than reading text and less stressful on students, which makes it more producive. Also, it is not based on testing, score-focused, memorization system. Most importantly, it creates a student-centered classroom, not teacher-centered. When education is teacher-centered, most of the students will not be able to learn independence. University values independence because students can lead their own development, both academically and personally. When video games became one of the educational methods, it could engage students more and more in education, which is that students could actually make video games based on their classroom material, could even prevent cheating. Why do students cheat? Many students say they cheat to get better grades. I have also cheated until I entered 3rd grade for the same reason. But cheating is unfair. So how can we avoid cheating by developing a video game? When we are making a video game, we need to research about the topic that teacher has given. By doing this research, the student will be able to learn about the topic, understand quickly, and remember longer than taught by a teacher. What's more, when we consider how to make a video game and then reflect on what we have learned and progress, cheating could be prevented because every person will have different ideas from others. Making educational video games could be different from other forms of education. It's a mixture of IB and Chinese public education. IB education values independent, steadily deep-thinking methods. So when teachers are teaching a topic, they want the students to think deeply as possible. On the other hand, Chinese public education is about solving many kinds of questions and gets more difficult as it progresses. The education involving video games encourages students to solve many questions in different ways. Many of you will wonder why students need to have this type of education. Developing her own video games, a student should go through independent and deep thinking. It encourages problem-solving skills by the student, requiring them to be creative and consider other people's ideas. The student also needs to develop a lot of questions and consider what are the best questions for educational video games. A critical challenge in making an educational video game is that it needs to get increasingly difficult as the player progresses. Also, by progressing through the levels, but that is just one part of the progress. It also requires and therefore helps the student develop problem-solving skills and deep thinking in order to solve the problem. After this type of difficult progress, students may feel a sense of accomplishment. The second benefit of this new education model is independent study and student-led education. Most schools are teacher-centered, so there will be less chance and experiment that students could experiment student-centered classroom. But in school, there will be students who have lack of self-confidence, so we need to make a student-centered project where everyone has an opportunity to be a student leader, which can help them to be more independent and gain self-confidence. The school is a small part of the real world. I think students need to practice in how to survive in society, which leads them independently. When they practice at school, it could help them to become independent and be a leader. By playing educational video games, we could also learn communication and cooperation. For example, in a typical video game, I have a team of 5 users, including myself, who might be called Healer, King Knight, Mage, Archer, and Defender. The purpose of our team is to fight the devil. First, we need to plan our strategy. Second, we need to practice the control of our mouse and keyboard to improve our skills and to be successful.
Lastly, we need to practice together as a team to win the battle. By planning, people could give suggestions and think deeply. By practicing the control, it could help independent study. When we practice with the team, the users need to be communicating and concentrating. By this, we can see that games are actually giving some benefits to us. Making video games is almost the same, but adds more ideas. For example, developing requires us to problem solve because of errors. It is my wish that programmers will use my ideas to make a model. Then, by using this software, students will be able to make their own video games in the classroom. The student would research about the topic from the textbook and databases and develop 1 to 3 drafts on how they're going to make a video game. By this, it could prevent cheating and help students to remember new knowledge longer. Then, they will make video games with the teachers. One good thing about this method is it could either group or independent work. Also, homework could be playing the video games that students made, which strengthens their new knowledge. These video games could be applied to most subjects. For example, it could be used in humanities, science, math, or language. Any areas of education relies on deep thinking and problem solving. So, with flexible software platform, the video games could be customized to fit any subject. After students have made their game, they could write reflection about what they learned and what happened with their making a video game and how they feel about it. This concept has some criticisms. Some people think video games may not be educational. This is partly true. For example, video games that include violence and things that are not appropriate could harm the student. But when we put appropriate things in video games, that could bring enjoyment and could lead to the true education. An organization for teachers called TeachTalk had identified some benefits such as social and emotional rewards that get students involved and teach problem-solving skills. It also encourages cooperation, storytelling, and patience. This is crippling and keeps the students' attention because it's fun. Also, some people say that teachers should be in control of the classroom. But by then, how can students learn in leadership and independence? The Chenka program of European Council states, student-centered education has several advantages. These include considerations of students' needs, greater involvement of students in their own education, and students sharing responsibility for their learning. I don't think current methods of studies are best for learning new skills and are applying them in the future because when you learn new knowledge, sometimes you don't learn new skills or aren't able to apply them in the future. Everyone has different ways of studying depending on how that person learns. By making video games and giving many choices, students can learn new skills and apply them in the future because they have choices to research by themselves and study what methods works the best. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Taehyun. That was an original insight about video games. For the next speaker, please welcome Hae-jung-shin with a round of applause.
Hi, my name is Hae-jung-shin from grade 10 in BranksomeHallAsia. I'm a big fan of Big Bang, so I'm going to imitate one of their members called 승리. 멍멍해지고 꺾이지 말아다오 제발 너만을. So, thank you for listening and please listen to our speech and please enjoy them. Thank you so much. Bye.
Good afternoon, everyone. To start, I'd like to share some quotes with you. George Bernard Shaw, a famous Irish playwright, said, "Imagination is the beginning of creation. You imagine what you desire, and you will not imagine, and at last, you create what you will. Imagination is the highest kite one can fly, the call. Once you replace negative thoughts with positive ones, you will start having positive results. Willie Nelson, an American musician, songwriter, author, and activist. I'm not yet an artist who has fame and recognition from others. I'm just a 17-year-old high school girl. But here's the thing. I have a big imagination and I dream big. At first, I started to have fun just as many people do when they imagine things. When I was young, I had dreams and goals about many kinds of things, and as I got older, I began to think more seriously about them. I often imagine achieving those dreams. As a person who dreams about being an artist, I always picture things in my head wherever I go, such as the art gallery, art studio, or even when I am enjoying the sketches alone. However, most of these thoughts were born from the influence and inspiration that I received from the people around me. There are some steps that I go through whenever I imagine something. First, there's always a life that I'm living in the real world, whether it is a happy or sad one. Then, I get inspiration from people who appear on TV, paintings, and sometimes my friends. As I get influenced from their positive character, I start to imagine and make my own story. Lastly, if I act on that story that I created in my mind, it sometimes creates a desirable change in my own life. An example of these steps would be when I was inspired by this painting called The Bride Frightened as Seen Life Open. Before coming to BHA, I had a break from the school for several months, so I wasn't able to spend as much time with my friends as I used to. I didn't leave the house often, and I wasn't used to making new friends, and obviously, even having the courage to go up and talk to them. Back then, I got a chance to go to a theatrical exhibition with my mother. The Bride Frightened as Seen Life Opened was a piece of artwork that still impacts me in many different ways. When I saw this painting, without looking at the title of it, I imagined and acted as if I was the girl in the painting. Why is there a girl standing behind the watermelon that has sharp ends at the cut? Why is the watermelon so exposed, making it so visible? Then, I went on my third step of imagination. If that girl in the painting was me, I wouldn't even try to approach the door and go out into the world. How much longer should I live like this? Afraid of meeting friends? Of course that girl in the painting has not come out to the world yet. But she keeps on trying to just walk out the front door. Although it may just seem like a girl in the painting, I feel like I should learn from her and have confidence even if I am afraid of something. Afterwards, I kept trying to be more social by making new friends, by visiting my old friend's school, and participating in a camp which sent me traveling around Europe. Here are 3 more stories of my imagination of other people exerting its influence over my life. The first person is Mozart. I acted like Mozart when I played the piano on the basis of the dreams, passions, and persistence that it gave me. This not only developed my swiftly moving fingers when I am playing the piano, but also emotional acting that moves my fingers along with the feelings of the song. As a result, I dreamt of being a pianist and practiced alone every day as if I were Mozart. Now, my dream has changed, but I became a person who can play a musical instrument and enjoy music. Also, as a student who loves art, I wasn't able to get inspiration from the song in different time periods. The second person is G-Dragon, who is the literary boy group called Big Bang in Korea. He greatly impacted my dreams and still does to this day. I was inspired when I learned that he composed music every day like writing a diary to be world-famous songwriter. Also, as an artist who broke the stereotypes, he was a huge inspiration to me as a student who is dreaming to be an artist. Sometimes, in my imagination, I'm acting in the drama in the presence of real-world artists. In that imaginary world, I'm also an artist inspiring people with G-Dragon as we are from the common field of art. Together, we break the stereotypes that are existing in the real world. Going from this real world and imaginary world has created a much clearer goal in becoming an artist and being recognized by artists. The belief and hope came to me that if I became a famous artist, I could take my imagination and make it reality. This actually made me to have a desire for the goal to be emblazoned with fire. I'm actually also having a similar past or history as G-Dragon through acting. Every day as time went by, I started to draw many things, starting from something very small in my sketchbook. Lastly, the Brave Brother, a famous composer as a producer in Korea, gave people hope to put the past aside, to overcome trauma, and to focus on their present life. Watching this fantastic life made me imagine something new for my life. At first, I think that I was the main character in the drama, acting as a person who had a past that regular students didn't have. Expelled from the school, going to the youth detention center, etc. For this past, I have created many endings rather than just one. From this, I realized something new every time and from each different ending. Now, I feel my more gratitude for my own life. Why did my imagination, influenced by the lives of people around me, create new, deeper meaning? As my imagination grows, I have learned to reconstruct it in an unconscious way so I can get the lessons that are essential for my situation at the time. Even though I'm only a 17-year-old girl, the influence and inspiration that I receive from people makes me to think that the environment is not important to get inspired. Whether you meet bad people or good people, if you have a strong mind, get interest in people around you, and have a little imagination, you can be profoundly inspired and develop yourself further. And this will make you a person who can also inspire others through becoming a successful person, not with money, but with your dreams that you always imagined. Thank you.
Thank you, Haejung. For the next speaker, Hanul Yu will be presenting about secrets of Sambangsam and Yongmuri Coast.
Hello, this is Hannah Liu from grade 10 in BranksomeHallAsia, and I'm going to talk about the natural sites around us like the Sambangsan and the Yongmuri Coast, and hope you enjoy my speech. Thank you.
In the past, life in Jeju was harsh due to the geological features
that made it difficult for its residents to live and grow crops.
However, these once inconvenient geological features have become a huge tourist attractions and today are recognized for its importance and beauty.
But we should not only admire the beauty,
We should also understand how it was produced and how precious and valuable the heritage we have is. We should bear in mind that the nature is limited and that we need to put an effort to preserve them. Jeju is such a valuable island with special geological features. For example, just near our school, we have a mountain called Sambangsan and the coast called Yongmuri Coast,
which are known for their unusual looks that originated from
a process of their extraordinary formation. Take a look at them and you'll immediately fall into their alluring characteristics and gain a powerful urge to preserve them. To briefly introduce Jeju, Jeju Island won a triple crown by UNESCO for its wonderful nature. Jeju won the designation of Biosphere Reserve in 2002, the World Natural Heritage in 2007, and the designation of Geopark in 2010. Jeju is not only beautiful, it also contains different natural sites, including Hala Mountain, 360 orms, distinctive forest Kojawa, limestone lava cave, peculiar characteristics of wetlands, and other diverse, beautiful, but unique geological sites. It is also important to understand how Jeju was formed and those characteristics that distinguish it from other regions. By understanding this, you will have a different perspective on Jeju and its value. Jeju started forming around 1,800,000 years ago through volcanic
activities and continued its formation until around 1,000 years ago. Before the volcanic activity began, the area of Jeju consisted of unconsolidated clays and sand strata with shallow seas. Around 1,800,000 years ago, the magma in the underground of the sea slowly rose up and started a hydrovolcanic eruption between it and the water. As a result, many tough rings and tough cones were produced. After a long period of time, they were eroded by waves and mixed with ocean sediments, producing a Sopipo formation. After the sedimentation of Sopipo formation, Jeju Island grew and rose above the sea level. 55,000 years later, volcanoes exploded, producing a wide lava plateau. This lava plateau piled upon itself, creating a shield shape of land, with the center being where Hala Mountain is today. Around 18,000 years ago,
when the sea level became nearly the same as it is nowadays, the hydrovolcanic activities occurred centrally on the coastal areas. During this period, many of the natural sites we see today, like Songsan and Chulbong Tuff Cone and Songak Tuff Rings, were produced. Around 1,000 years ago, the volcanic activity stopped and formed the shape of Jeju we see today.
There are tons of sites that demonstrate these interesting geological features, and two of them I'm sure you have been there or at least heard of. The Samba Now, I would like to show you what they look like and how they were formed. Sambangsan is a 400-meter high bell-shaped lava dome and is a product of hydrovolcanism. A rock dome formed from lava flowing on the surface of the land can be only found in Sambangsan within Korea. Here are the stages in the formation of Sambangsan. First, the magma slowly rose from underground. The gases inside the magma and the underground water near the magma were heated up, causing the volcano to erupt. Then, the explosion of gases spouted pyroclastic materials, the hot gas, and volcanic matter, such as cloud ash and lava fragments. The gases that remained were very small, so the eruption was lessened, and the pyroclastic materials piled up around the dome. Next, all the gases inside the magma disappeared, but the lava still flowed out near the crater, forming the dome. The lava also formed edged fragments of rocks. Lastly, the flow of the lava stopped and created a radial-shaped dome. After a long period of time, some parts, such as the edges, became eroded, forming the shape of Sambangsan we see today. On Sambangsan, we can see a high columnar joint with a diameter of 2 meters and a height of 50 meters. When the dome was formed from lavas, it originally formed a fan-shaped joint. However, since Sambangsan only consists of a perpendicular columnar joint, we can infer that many parts were eroded. Next, I would like to introduce you to another wonderful natural site around us, the Yongmari Coast. Ocean waves eroded ash layer of tough rings of Yongmari to the coast. Crater was left as a cliff. Observing the geological structure and the inner structure of this cliff helps us to reveal the secrets of the formation of this tough ring. The structure easily found in Yongmari is the stratification, the formation of layers due to hydrovolcanic activities. Across the seashore cliff, parallel lamination, wavy bedding, megaripple, bedding sack, V-shaped channel structure, syndical faults, and many more sedimentary structures can be easily found. Structures like parallel lamination, wavy bedding, and megaripples are the typical sedimentary structures found from the fast process of pyroclastic surge, the fluidized mass of carbonate gas and rock fragments which are ejected during the volcanic eruptions. The V-shaped channel structure was formed during the hydrovolcanic activities. Water causes an erosion which creates a narrow valley, and the ejectas, the particles ejected from the volcano, fills up the valley. The sliding structure is formed by ejectas piling up in a steep slope or by the collapse of layers of stratus due to the force applied from the volcanic eruption. The syndical fault is usually formed near the crater. It is created by the sediment with the force applied from the eruption and the sinking of stratus. As you can see, the formation of these natural sites were very unusual and they cannot be found in any other place. I hope you all have recognized that nothing can mimic these procedures ever again, and even the nature cannot reveal them. So, how important is it for us to preserve these natural sites around us? In the past UN's Millennium Development Goal, they aim for the environment, economies, and societies could independently develop. Simultaneously, they aim for the continuous development in the same field while balancing with each other.
However, it caused a problem. The development of economies and societies exceeding the nature's own physical limitation and an environmental assimilating capacity caused the nature to lose its own ability to restore and restitute. It resulted in the
destruction of the nature where we, the humans, can survive. Then, in the UN's Sustainable Development Goal, they changed the goal, setting each sector's capacity before developing. They set it as environment, societies and economies. We now finally understand that any growth and development can occur within the Earth's range of capacities. Environment, economies, and societies cannot develop at the same rate at the same condition. Islands have clearer environmental limits. Global warming, a decrease in biodiversity, and the culture of a community are easily weakened due to external environmental changes. Jeju's natural sites and resources are finite, and for this reason, we should slowly, within the environment's capacity, explore ways to increase the quality of our lives. Look at the nature that surrounds us. We must appreciate it if we want it to remain the way it is forever. Understanding the environment around us and its importance is a way for humans and nature to coexist sustainably. Nature is a finite resource, and for this reason, we should seek to preserve the valuable natural sites around us. Thank you.
I've never heard about the secrets of geographical features of Jeju before. Our next speaker will be Sohan Choi from grade 9, presenting about leadership.
Hi, this is Sohan Choi from Brangsome, grade 9. And then today I'm going to eat how many kancho can go inside my mouth. And I hope you guys to enjoy and also my speech after this. So let's begin.
Good afternoon, my fellow ladies and gentlemen. I stand here today with a mind of reflecting myself, deeply indebted to my parents, providing moral life and chance self into the future. Before the talk, I would like to appreciate all the teachers, friends, and staff who have provided me the great opportunity to have a speech in front of you. My father is an officer. Korea currently enforces the conscription system that every young man should fulfill the military duty for 21 months. Since my dad was extremely busy when I was 6 years old, my mom and I often went to the troops to see my dad. Every time I went to the base, I was able to see lots of soldiers running, exercising, and singing the military song at the same time. Watching my dad leading hundreds of people in the front made me thought. A leader is a person who owns a charismatic personality and commands hundreds of people in the front. However, as 10 years passed along with various events of different magnitude, I had a new perspective of viewing the concept of leader and leadership. I've always wondered, what is a leader and what is a leadership? I asked this question to myself more than 100 times. I searched the internet, I read books, asked my friends, families, and teachers, seeking for the clear answer. Today, I would like to share the stories about the changes I went through in terms of my personal views regarding leader and leadership. 10 years ago, I thought an ideal leader would look exactly like my dad, leading hundreds of people in the front and seizing the mood with charismatic aura. Growing up, I looked to my dad, whom I have thought as the only leader. I thought being a leader is naturally my role, because my dad and I have so many similarities. I thought only people who are outgoing, loves to communicate, and enjoys adventures like me can be a leader. I defined not respect others at all. Friends were exhausted and started to step far away from me. Everybody was supported in that, and there was nobody beside me. I spent few days lying on my bed and crying. With the mixed emotions of sadness, sense of guilt, fear, and regret, I could not even sleep every night. Suddenly one day, I doubt about my eligibility as a leader. I asked myself, am I an unsuccessful leader? Am I even worth it to be a leader? What are the definitions of leader and what are the definitions of leadership? I asked myself this question more than 100 times, and I could finally find some solutions from my brother and my friend. I was a pretty cautious learner since I was young. I always enjoyed learning new things, was not afraid of the failure, and always confident about myself. My brother is 12 years old, and he wants to be an ice hockey player when he gets older. Compared to me, my brother is a totally different character. He's a slow-paced learner, and then he's an introvert. Based on our differences in character, I defined and I concluded that he did not have an ability to be a leader. One day, off on August with the burning sun, my family and I went to Beijing, China, because my brother was playing the game in International Junior Ice Hockey game. That day, I saw the completely different side of my brother. Unlike my concern, my brother was encouraging all of the team members in the ring, and he even applauded his team members' effort regardless of the success. My brother was truly encouraging his team members, which led me to further reflect about how I evaluated my brother. What I saw was not only my brother himself, but as a completely natural leader. He just had the different personalities, different styles of leadership in different areas. He was leading his team as a completely natural leader, and I was the only person who was underestimating it. There was one boy who was in the same classroom with me. He always played games, and he always slept during class, so teachers gave him lots of warnings and lots of detentions. At first, I thought he must have been stupid because I heard that he plays computer games all day long. Since I do not play any computer games, it was really hard for me to understand. And to be honest, he actually looked pathetic. Later, I heard from my other friends that he's actually well known among the game players. He's well known among the gaming world for his ability to lead and plan the game effectively, has earned the name General Napoleon from the game. I was really shocked when I heard the news. I was really shocked that someone might demonstrate their leadership in the gaming world, in the video game, which I never had expected or which I had never thought of it before. Since we're all grown in different environments with different religion, beliefs, political beliefs, or global perspective, we all have different styles of leadership. Yet, most of the people think there are typical image of a leader, and here comes the fallacy of generalization. How can we define a leadership, and how can we define a leader in whose perspective, in what environment, with what religion? There are no right or wrong answers. Anybody can be a leader. You can be a leader regardless of your race, wealth, appearance, or religion. If you truly love one specific thing and you are really passionate about it, I believe that you have a full potential to be the leader. It is silly to give up before you try because you think you're not enough yourself. I stand here and raise my voice again. Leaderships are undefinable and leaders are universal. We are all leaders in our area and we all have the potential. Do not underestimate yourself and show the world who you are. Remember, leaders are undefinable and leaderships are universal. Thank you.
Thank you, Soa. Your speech made me think about the leadership inside me. Unfortunately, the next speech will be the last speech of TEDxBranksomeHallAsia. Our next speaker is Yeoju Kim. Please welcome her with a round of applause.
Hi, my name is Chelsea. I'm a grade 11 student at BHA. I hope you enjoy our TEDx event and everyone's talks. So here I go.
Hello everyone, my name is Chelsea, and before I begin, let me warn you that my favorite phrases are what is that and why, and that I'm going to repeat it several times between my talk. So let's begin. Recently, I found out that about 21 years ago, my parents came to this very island, Jeju, for their honeymoon. This news was quite interesting for me, because as a resident who's been living here for about 5 years, I know most of the tourist attractions. So I asked, ooh, what places did you visit? Did you go for a romantic walk at Mount Hala? Or did you go to Jungun for a nice buffet and swim? And Mom answered, no, we did something more relaxing and fun. So I asked, ooh, what did you do? And Mom said, we went to museums all day. And I said, why? I grew up being indoctrinated that learning is fun. And what I mean by indoctrinated is that I was repeated a belief until the idea was accepted. And I think my parents did a pretty good job exemplifying this statement, because who in the world would go to museums and only museums on a honeymoon? Also, I think my mom helped me commit to this idea of fun, because she never ever stopped to provide me answers whenever I asked her, what is that and why? Even if it took her a whole hour, she never stopped. As aforementioned, I was drawn into thinking that learning is fun. I never doubted the idea, as I generally loved going to school because of the lessons, and I almost always found my research assignments enjoyable after 1 or 2 hours of delving into them. But then, recently, I found out that the overwhelming amount of work in the last years of high school don't always let you have hours to think and have fun with a topic. And I think this is relevant to all of us. Whether if you're a teacher, parent, or student, most of the things that we need to do demand us to just do the things, whether we like it or not, in time. Hence, for about 10 weeks ago, when time management started to get a bit tough, I started questioning the idea. I no longer said learning is fun. Instead, I asked, why is learning fun? Why do we learn? So today, I'm going to try to answer this question by using a spectrum. A spectrum that indicates not all, but most of the reasons why we learn. And just to make terms a little bit easier, what I mean by learning in this context is academic learning, like studying, or creative learning, like practicing music, dance, drama, or visual art. On the left side of the spectrum, we have society. One of the main reasons why people are motivated to learn is because we feel the need to contribute, help, and become a proud member of our society. A documentary called Homo Academicus, an amazing TV series that dealt with the topic of why people study quite extensively, suggested that this type of motivation is relatively more significant for Asian learners, as the success of education of an individual usually becomes the pride of the whole family, or sometimes even the whole neighborhood. In China, approximately 9.4 million, that's 940만 명, high school students take a college entrance exam called Gaokao every year. The photo above shows a small group of those high school students chanting, "Let's all work together to prepare for our exams as well as possible." Similarly, in Korea, you've probably seen some placards in front of schools or town entrances that congratulate individuals' achievement. As you can see, an individual's achievement could be viewed as a family's or even a town's success and joy. There is another way in which society becomes a main driving force for learning for us. One of the hosts of the documentary Homo Academicus, my role model, said that one of the reasons why he learns is because it helps him connect with other people and empathize better, and that knowing more enables him to make more meaningful connections. And we have to agree with this idea because we know for a fact that the more we know about a person, her interests, and her culture, the more we become able to understand the differences between our opinions and appreciate them. As we move to the right side of the spectrum, we have reasons that are more concerned with individuals. There are two main reasons why people learn for their own sake. The first individualistic reason is extrinsic influence. This includes competition and reputation. Although most of us might think that severe competition and pressuring for learning is a recent phenomenon due to population growth, history proves us wrong. Competition and pressuring for learning began from the beginning of recorded history. Not only was the first standardized test invented by China 1,412 years ago. This tablet above is from ancient Sumeria in 2000 BC. Sumeria was the home of the first urban civilization located in modern-day Iraq. The tablet is written by a schoolboy who learned by copying lessons, memorizing the lessons, and then reciting them for the school's headmaster. The interesting thing about this clay tablet over here is that it details how the boy was repeatedly caned by his teachers for failing to memorize his lessons. The boy then asked his parents to invite the headmaster to their house and to provide him with food, wine, and gifts. And this was in 2000 BC. The scholar who translated this tablet described it as the first recorded case of apple polishing or bribing in the history of man. The second individualistic reason is intrinsic influence. For some of us, learning becomes a driving force because it means hope. Hope for opportunities, hope for freedom, and hope for a better life. You might know Malala, a 19-year-old Pakistani activist who sought for children's education even when the local Taliban had at times banned girls from attending school and even attempted to murder her. Malala was driven to learn because she knew that learning was key in bringing her a better life. Although we might not be in extreme conditions like Malala, most of us students learn because we know that learning could bring us more opportunities. Last but not least, if we move further to the right of the spectrum of learning, we go inside of an individual and into the individual's brain. Some of us learn because of the catharsis of epiphany. That moment when our brains go, aha! And that very moment when we find another block of information to fit in our knowledge jigsaw puzzle with no borders. Exemplary figures include Leonardo da Vinci, who was an inventor, painter, sculptor, architect, musician, mathematician, engineer, literalist, geologist, anatomist, astronomer, writer, historian, and photographer, Albert Einstein, Nikola Tesla, Socrates, and last but not least, Mr. McNutt, our IB history teacher who regularly jumps in the middle of the class and says, "Isn't history so fun? I love history, I do." The special thing about this particular reason of learning is that we are all born with the capacity to learn. Even though we are not all celebrated geniuses, scholars, or musicians, the fact that we say really, 진짜, what, or why, in some point of our lives shows us that we react to knowledge. Now that we explore the spectrum of why we learn, I would like to introduce a pot. The pot is titled, Why We Learn. Inside the pot, we have something called the motivation soup. The ingredients of this soup are all the reasons for why we learn that we explore today. The recipe of this soup varies according to each person, her age, and her context. For instance, when I was younger, I think that 99% of the ingredients in my motivation soup was from the very right side of the spectrum. I was motivated purely by the joy of learning. But now I have to admit that I have a spoon of bread, 2 spoons of blue, and a spoon of orange. Because I have to admit that the main reason why I study right now is because I'm desperate for the opportunities to learn more. I have a lot of blue in my soup. And now I feel joy and excited for learning, because when I think of all the opportunities I would get and the interesting people I would meet if I learned well. Sometimes because of hard circumstances or stress or the lack of time, we forget the reasons why we learn. And sometimes we get unhappy because we don't have the best ingredients in our motivation soup that suit us. For instance, we might be getting too much external influence, or we might be so immersed in learning that we lose track of what's happening to our close friends and family. The main message that I want to deliver to you today is that we all have a learning pot. Hence, we all have the capacity to learn. Whenever you think you haven't learned anything new in a while, find your learning pot. It's somewhere in there. Whenever you don't feel motivated to learn, go and get some ingredients and make some motivation soup. Whenever you feel overwhelmed, try to put different ingredients in your soup so that it tastes better for you. But no matter what happens, let's never forget to learn new things every day. There's a reason why we should learn, and there's a reason why learning could be fun. After all, as author Brian Herbert said, the capacity to learn is a gift, the ability to learn is a skill, and the willingness to learn is a choice. Thank you for listening.
Finally, the first TEDxBHA event has now officially ended. We hope all of you had an inspiring moment. Remember the opening TED Talk about grits gave you an idea of learn like a novice? The closing TED Talk would hopefully encourage you to dream like a genius. Enjoy this short 3-minute TED Talk given by Max Cutts.
A few years ago, I felt like I was stuck in a rut. So I decided to follow in the footsteps of the great American philosopher, Morgan Spurlock, and try something new for 30 days. The idea is actually pretty simple. Think about something you've always wanted to add to your life and try it for the next 30 days. It turns out 30 days is just about the right amount of time to add a new habit or subtract a habit, like watching the news, from your life. There's a few things that I learned while doing these 30-day challenges. The first was, instead of the months flying by forgotten, the time was much more memorable. This was part of a challenge I did to take a picture every day for a month, and I remember exactly where I was and what I was doing that day. I also noticed that as I started to do more and harder 30-day challenges, my self-confidence grew. I went from desk-dwelling computer nerd to the kind of guy who bikes to work for fun. Even last year, I ended up hiking up Mount Kilimanjaro, the highest mountain in Africa. I would never have been that adventurous before I started my 30-day challenges. I also figured out that if you really want something badly enough, you can do anything for 30 days. Have you ever wanted to write a novel? Every November, tens of thousands of people try to write their own 50,000-word novel from scratch in 30 days. It turns out, all you have to do is write 1,667 words a day for a month. So I did. By the way, the secret is not to go to sleep until you've written your words for the day. You might be sleep deprived, but you'll finish your novel. Now, is my book the next great American novel? No, I wrote it in a month. It's awful. But for the rest of my life, if I meet John Hodgman at a TED party, I don't have to say, I'm a computer scientist. No. If I want to, I can say, I'm a novelist. So here's one last thing I'd like to mention. I learned that when I made small, sustainable changes, things I could keep doing, they were more likely to stick. There's nothing wrong with big, crazy challenges. In fact, they're a ton of fun, but they're less likely to stick. When I gave up sugar for 30 days, day 31 looked like this. So here's my question to you. What are you waiting for? I guarantee you the next 30 days are going to pass whether you like it or not. So why not think about something you have always wanted to try and give it a shot for the next 30 days? Thanks.
Thank you everyone for coming. And we would like to give special thanks to Mr. Johansson, Mr. James Kim, Ms. Jamie Lee, Mr. Zarate, Mr. Hammond, and Mr. Zhang. Thank you all very much for devoting a great deal of your time helping this event to work. Finally, speakers, please come up to the stage. And here we are, the student staffs. I wish you could recognize the hard work they have all done. Every single one of us has put great, enormous amounts of effort and time into this. Thank you very much.
Without you, this TEDx event could never have happened. Thank you to you for this great opportunity.
Again, thank you for attending and please follow our staff's instructions to exit. A reminder for U.S. Embassy Talk participants to please go over to the school center right now. Thank you.